You know, throughout history, there's this one character type that's just so stubbornly, mysteriously appealing. The rake, the Don Juan, the seducer. He's this guy who promises absolutely nothing permanent, yet somehow seems to offer everything. So today, we're going to dig into the source material to figure out the enduring and, paradoxical power of this timeless figure.
Okay, so let's just dive right into it. Because on the surface, this makes zero sense, right? The very qualities that define the seducer are the exact same things society tells us to run away from in a partner. And yet, that allure is undeniable. This is the central puzzle we're going to try and solve together.
So, to really get to the bottom of this, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the paradox itself, then explore the fantasy it's fueling. We'll see how the legend actually changed over time, break down the real-deal methods, and then finish up with the most counterintuitive ingredient of them all.
All right, first up, let's really frame this fundamental conflict. What is it about the seducer that's in such stark contrast to all the social rules? And more importantly, why is that contrast the very thing that gives him his power?
And this right here is the core of it. On one side, you've got the pillars of a stable society, right? Commitment, loyalty, devotion. But the rake, he offers the exact opposite. He's like an escape hatch, an affair of pure pleasure, a thrilling little taste of danger and desire with absolutely no strings attached. He is a direct rebellion against everything you're supposed to want.
So, why did this fantasy of freedom get so powerful? Well, to really understand the appeal of the escape, we first have to understand the reality people were trying to escape from.
The source material really paints a stark picture here. For a lot of women, historically, their expected role was just deeply oppressive. Marriage wasn't always this big romantic partnership. It could feel more like a kind of service. Relationships that were supposed to be about lifelong devotion often just turned into mundane routine, with a partner who is maybe there physically, but mentally and emotionally, well, somewhere else entirely.
And this gets to the absolute heart of the fantasy. In a world full of distractions and obligations, the seducer offers something radical: his total, undivided attention. He makes a woman feel that, for this one moment in time, she is the absolute center of his universe. Yeah, it's temporary, for sure, but that intensity is the whole secret to its power.
But here's the thing. The story of the seducer wasn't static. It changed. The legend of Don Juan itself went through this really fascinating transformation, and that tells us a whole lot about who this fantasy was really for.
So at first, Don Juan was basically a guy's story, a power fantasy about a conqueror who could have any woman he wanted. But then, as women started getting more interested in the legend, it began to shift. By the 18th century, he wasn't just a man who wanted women anymore. He became a man who lived for women. He became a figure perfectly sculpted to fulfill their frustrated desires for real attention and passion. Okay, so we pretty much established the psychological need that the seducer fills. But how does he actually do it? What are the mechanics of this whole art form? Let's get into the playbook. So, according to the source, the whole method is about creating this intense, super-focused present moment. It starts with the seducer's ability to just let go and get completely absorbed. This isn't about planning a future, it's about totally abandoning it. And the result is that the target gets a level of undivided attention that is just intoxicating and, honestly, incredibly rare. And here's the effect of all that intense focus. It's a whirlwind. The experience is designed to be so overwhelming, so immediate, that it just short-circuits your rational brain. There's literally no time to think about the what-ifs or the potential fallout, because the present moment is everything. And look, this isn't just theory. The source points to both fictional masters, like Valmont from Dangerous Liaisons, and real-life figures. I mean, artists like Picasso, who had tons of lovers, were apparently experts at making each woman feel, in that specific moment, as if she was the only one he had ever truly loved. We're almost there, but we've saved the most paradoxical, the most mind-bending piece for last. We know the seducer thrives on intensity, but where does that intensity even come from? Well, you might be surprised to hear it comes from the one thing that should stop him in his tracks: resistance. This is where it gets really, really interesting. For a true seducer, a no isn't the end of the conversation, it's the start of one. Obstacles are literally his fuel. A husband, social rules, a woman's own hesitation, these things don't scare him off. Oh no, they make the pursuit more challenging and, because of that, way more exciting. An obstacle gives him a stage to prove his devotion, to show the crazy lengths he'll go to, turning a simple game into some grand romantic gesture.
This is such a perfect, almost unbelievable example. Picasso didn't just put up with resistance, he actively encouraged it. He begged for it. He understood that the art of seduction, all the creativity and passion it takes, is sparked by the challenge. The chase itself is the whole point.
And this brings us right to the final core principle of the seducer's art, the ultimate paradox. Seduction isn't about finding the easiest path. It's about finding a path with something in the way. The source is crystal clear. Without resistance, there is no seduction. If there aren't any obstacles, the seducer has to invent them.
So we're left with this final thought. The rake isn't just some character in an old story. He's a mirror. His enduring power reflects the parts of human desire that run completely opposite to our orderly, civilized lives. That longing for total focus, the thrill of the forbidden, and the deep, often unacknowledged fantasy of being pursued against all odds.